How's it going, guys? This is another Weekly Huddle YouTube video, and this is going to be the first one that I'm going to be doing talking about the 2022 draft cycle. It's going to be something I haven't done yet, but it's kind of delving into how I scout and giving you a glimpse into like what my system is and what I look for in prospects. And today I'm going to be breaking down how I look into like QBs for the draft. This is spurred on by a debate I had in the live comment section of a Draft Dudes Takes on Takes video or live stream that just happened tonight with another user named Sam. Now, I put in the take that kind of lends credence to what my whole scouting philosophy is going into quarterbacks that I have now retooled for all this year. I now have a new grading system that I look into, and I have made up a whole new one for the 2022 season, totally different from what I did for 2021. I'm hoping that it helps me get a more objective ranking listing instead of just the more personal opinion biased one I had before, which is not a good one. But in this new system, I instead of making all 10 categories equal valued, I looked into prospects and I realized what personally do I believe makes a prospect, like what makes them more of an NFL prospect than a college prospect. And going through them, I picked a single stat I think leads most to being a good NFL prospect, and one that means maybe not as much. And with quarterbacks, this is the argument I got into with Sam in the live stream, was with quarterbacks, I believe the most important trait is arm strength. Now, I'm not saying if they can throw it like Josh Allen to draft him immediately, like don't draft the guy with the biggest arm. But this is what I preference when I said it. That arm strength is the most important because NFL players who can throw it to any area on the field, so hit any route, has the entire playbook open with their arm strength. Any prospect who has that kind of arm strength, that level of arm strength, so say like on a scale of 1 to 10, that arm strength is a 6 or a 7. Between 6 and 10, there's not that much difference in how well the prospect's going to do in the NFL. That's a really crapshoot. But as long as they can make all the throws in the NFL like spectrum of routes and areas in the field you want to hit, as a playbook, like an out, like a far hash out. If you can hit that throw, that's important. Because so when I say that the arm strength is the most important trait, I'm not saying bigger arm better. I'm saying if you don't have that level of arm, you become undraftable. There are players that have had great collegiate seasons, but because they didn't have the arm strength to make all the NFL throws, they didn't get drafted till like 7th or undrafted. So if you can't make those throws, you become undraftable. And if you hit that threshold where you had the necessary arm strength, is what you read a lot, they have necessary arm strength to make all NFL caliber type throws, then you're draftable. And then the window of you getting drafted higher or lower, depending on if you can keep going up and up those tiers, to stronger and stronger arms, like up to the Josh Allen Mahomes tier, or even a little below that with like Justin Herbert and things like that, and Matt Stafford. Like they're still like rocking arms, but like powerful, strong arms is not what I'm saying is good. I'm not trying to say that the harder you throw it, the better you're going to be, but arm strength is the most important because there is a threshold that you can see. If you don't break that threshold of arm strength, like that 6 or 7 range, that where you can make every NFL throw, then you're not going to be a good player in the NFL. You can't teach the arm strength either. So if I was, say, a head coach like Dan Campbell for the Lions right now, who he's basically saying to the Lions ownership, he's trying to sell them on his idea. He's going to say, I'm blowing this whole thing up. I'm building it in my image. I'm tearing it down. When you draft a quarterback in the first round, and you're a coach like that, you're tying, no matter what you do the rest of the roster, you're tying your entire success to that quarterback. And if I'm a coach, and you have to have some confidence in yourself to be a coach. You can't be insecure, and you can't be like, oh, I can't coach a guy up. If I'm a coach, and I have to sell my pitch for what quarterback to take in the NFL draft to my ownership, and say I'm tying my whole entire career in this organization to this quarterback, that I'm going to take the guy who has more of a raw processor and an NFL level arm, that I can say, oh, I'm going to coach him up. He's not an NFL starting quarterback right now, but I believe I can coach him up. Your Mahomes, your Allens, your not Herbert was pretty good right away, but you get what I mean. So Sam's argument in the live stream was, if you just base it off arm strength, you get guys like Jameis Winston and Jamarcus Russell and Ryan Leaf, who have these big arms, but when they get in the league, they suck. Now, you have to try to get like a work ethic guy, which is like, so the poster child for this is Josh Allen. Raw as hell, strong arm, as strong as you can get. But even if you don't get a Josh Allen level arm, as long as it's strong enough to make those NFL throws, I'll take you. And a good work ethic to be able to work and improve your mechanics and your reading of the defenses. So, for example, in this upcoming draft, or this past draft, I would rather have taken Trey Lance at 3. This is why I graded the San Francisco pick so highly. I'd rather take Trey Lance at 3 because he's athletic and has a big arm over Mac Jones at 3 because he's limited athletically and has a ceiling on his arm. His arm, he can make the necessary throws. He's at that 7 range, which is why he was drafted in the first round. But if I'm going to sell my pitch to someone, I'm going to say, I want this guy who has all the physical traits that I can't coach him to. You can't coach speed, arm strength, and athletic ability, and all these other things like these strength and arm strength throwing wise and athletic ability. You can't coach that, but you can coach reading defenses, quickening their processor, as long as they're willing to work at it, which is unlike what Jamarcus Russell was able to do. That's one of the big things the guy in the live chat was saying. Like, Jamarcus Russell was big arm guy, drafted first overall over Calvin Johnson. Like, no. You draft a guy who has all the athletic tools you want, the uncoachables, and then you think, I know this guy, I did some interviews with him, I know what his personality is, and I can coach him in the areas that can be coached. As opposed to the guy who has a limited arm, but knows everything to know. He's like the most cerebral quarterback out there. He goes out there and knows exactly where to put the ball, but if he can't get the ball there because of his limited arm or can't make things happen out of structure because he isn't athletic enough, you're not going to have the same type of success, I believe, in the NFL. Like, you have a ceiling as a prospect. Trey Lance has a gigantic ceiling. Like, his floor is low, obviously. Same with Allen, Herbert, and all them. Their ceiling's bigger because they have those uncoachable traits like arm talent. And arm talent is the most important thing to a quarterback more than athleticism because they have to throw the ball. They can't just run the ball every time. So big arm, a big enough arm. I'm not saying, like I said, not big arm as in like throws it 70 yards on the field without, but like someone who can hit out routes opposite of the field. I will rather take that guy early in the draft and bank on my coaching ability because I have to tie myself to him anyway. So I'm basically telling them I'm going to prove myself to be your coach of the future by taking this quarterback and molding him the way I want him to be and taking his physical traits and reining him in, as opposed to saying, oh, I tie my abilities and my coaching abilities in this in my tenure in this organization to this guy who already has all the mental stuff down and doesn't have the physical abilities to take the next step to hit another ceiling. He already has a ceiling that's already low. So when it comes to quarterbacks, arm strength is probably the biggest trait I look at and the most impactful to when I'm examining a quarterback. And the lowest one I probably think would probably be like progressions and things like that, where we've seen players like Justin Fields, Justin Herbert, guys like that who come out of these one-read progression systems who can be taught other reads. Now, progressions, the better progressions, the more NFL ready they're going to be. But that doesn't tell you if they're going to be a better quarterback or not. So when you look at film, you have to look and see, like I said, to see if they can make all those throws in the NFL. If they're asked to make all those throws with that arm strength, if they have that, then you can look at the progressions. Are they able to go through them? And that way, now that's when it gets harder because you have to break down the play, see if it's only a one side of the football field read kind of play, or if they have to do a full field read, and that's where it gets more complicated. But even if they're asked to do one read and go, if that one read is a deep post or a deep corner from the right hash to the left hash, and he can make that throw, you would take that guy over the guy who knows the ball, knows where to put the ball every play, but can't get it there because he's physically limited. And that's what I was trying to say to the guy Sam in the comments, but he didn't get it. He was kept throwing Jamarcus Russell in my face, and I'm like, no, you need to have some upside if you're going to tie yourself to a quarterback in the first round. So which is why I personally like Malik Willis in this draft, or like a Carson Strong over like a Sam Howell. Because Sam Howell has that adequate arm, and he's a smart quarterback, but he doesn't have the upside of those guys that I would think if I'm going to be like a Dan Campbell and have to sell myself on a court, like sell this quarterback to be the guy I want us to draft, I'd rather take the physical upside guy with a strong arm and decent athleticism over the guy who's already at his ceiling physically and can only get better by knowing where to put the ball. Anyway, that's my opinion on quarterbacks and drafting and scouting, stuff like that. I'm going to do the rest of the positions later down the road, but I just wanted to give my 2 cents because it was on my mind. It was just freshly put in my mind again. So tell me how wrong I am in the comments. This is my system right now. This is my first year doing this system, so maybe I have more to grow and learn. You got to change it up every year, even a little bit, just to keep growing and learning as a scout. So, yeah, tell me how I can improve that and why you think I'm right or wrong in the comments below. But other than that, I'll see you later.